What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Faraday Future. So they did do their reverse stock split. I want to give you a quick overview of some of the current data points and just things that stood out to me as a possible red flag. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So it is now at almost 20 cents, give or take. It went down 5.44% on Friday, a ton of volume. So 14.16 million shares were traded, 8.3 is the average. And lucky for those individuals that were able to successfully swing trade Faraday, because I took a peek at it and it was at, I think, down, was it 15 or something percent? So it did have a low of 17.1 cents and then immediately had a nice spike to around 23.5 cents. But regardless, an extreme amount of volatility. But when it comes down to Faraday, especially on Friday, there was no news. And I feel like that would have been the perfect time to really help and incentivize people to get into Faraday, because technically with it at 20 cents, it could get dragged down below 10 cents very soon, because I do believe it needs to stay above that 10-cent mark for up to 20 consecutive trading days, or it might be 30. So they have, I don't know, things do not look good for Faraday, and that's what I've been saying. So in case you don't know, they recently did a reverse stock split on March the 1st, a 1-for-3. And that's already over and above the 1-for-80 they did on August the 28th. And as I've been saying, I've actually been saying this for the last 2 months, so hopefully some individuals have been listening to me, but I do feel that there is going to be a third undisclosed reverse stock split, and that is going to be probably the nail in the coffin, because this whole 1-for-3 was to rectify that 10-cent deficiency, and then that undisclosed one that they're going to be doing in the next month and a half, or at least pointing out, that is going to be to rectify that whole $1 bid price rule. That's even if it doesn't drag already below that 10-cent mark. So when it comes down to it, not the best. They also did come out with a 8K they submitted. So in reality, this one is sketchy. So as you can kind of see right here, it does say effective February the 26th, 2024. This individual right here is transitioning from his role as China Chief Executive Officer to Senior Vice President, and no longer serves as a Section 16 officer of Faraday Future. So when it comes down to it, if someone just read that, be like, yeah, obviously they're switching out people. But I started to think, and if you kind of look back over the last 1 year, Faraday has done a lot of sketchy things where they've disclosed that management is doing blah, 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 and nothing amounts to it, or nothing comes from it. So in reality, I started to think, like, yeah, you know what, that could be good and kind of justified. Any company would do the same kind of thing. But at the same time, are they trying to protect this individual Chen? And because when it comes down to a company, as of right now, like CEOs, especially due to negligence or potentially outright just lying or not disclosing, they could be held criminally responsible. So I started to do a little research, and yeah, it turns out logically this individual, even though they throw the name China or the word China in front of CEO, this individual still could be held liable, especially based on a lot of the claims that have been made over the last little bit. And plus, I've actually outright said, I'm surprised there's not a lawsuit. I'm surprised there's not a lawsuit. I think right now just retail just doesn't have that amount of money. That 1-for-80 reverse stock split killed anyone's likelihood of kind of being at a profit, or just their overall amount of money they had in it. So like if you have maybe $100,000 left in this company from your original amount that you invested, like to hire a lawyer to go at them because of their negligence, it's not really in the cards. And plus, a class action takes years, and Faraday just doesn't have years in them right now. So as I've said in the last couple of videos as well, their only hope is going to be a takeover. But just given how much they're burning through, just lack of operations, they would have to, I don't think any company is going to even touch this, even coming from a takeover opportunity. They would need to just completely wash management from the company and maybe just buy it from bankruptcy, just 10 cents on the dollar. And I know that does sound bad, but the company, you have to look at what the company's been coming out with, and they've been coming out with nothing. Their only optimistic thing that they've done was when they went to the Middle East and started to kind of look like have talks for some partnerships, because Faraday needed money, and who has tons of money and wants to invest in EVs? the Saudis and Middle East, that general area. So they were doing the right thing to go there, but still, I feel like this right here, what they did and transitioning this China CEO is not good. And based on Friday, shorts did increase about 283,000 shares. That number is accurate. Mind you, these ones right here, so the 77.85% and the 29.31 million shares overall being shorted, those are incorrect because Ortex does take good 2 weeks, sometimes a week to update after a reverse stock split. So obviously just take these numbers and kind of factor in that whole 1-for-3 reverse stock split. But this right here, as is the cost to borrow, those are correct. So on Friday, if you factor it all in, shorts doubled the hell down. Cost to borrow average is 21.58% as well. And so right now there hasn't been any new shareholder meeting announced. That's going to be for their third reverse stock split. I do anticipate that to occur within the next month and a half. So again, stay tuned for that. And looking at options, especially with the whole reverse stock split, there is no option. So if you previously held it, you just have to contact your broker. They'll be able to kind of talk to you about the new chain because they're going to make you a custom chain, whether they change the actual price or the number of shares involved. That's every broker does something different. But again, if you did have options, whether it be calls or puts, contact your broker. They'll be able to let you know. And most likely, given the new current outstanding share count, there is going to be new options, but it most likely will take a couple of weeks or at least a couple days. And that's even if market makers want to do it. With it at 20 cents, it's not really incentivized for anyone to do that, right? And very low volume. So I don't know if options will actually come. In theory, they qualify for it, but whether it comes or not, we'll just have to wait and see. As far as big money getting in over the last little bit, absolutely nothing. So a lot of the volatility over the last several days was just algorithmic trading and shorts, but nothing over $100 million. As far as some technicals, if you really still like Faraday and you want to trade it or you just like it, with it sitting at roughly about 20 cents, give or take, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 17.6 cents is going to be that next strong support, and it kind of bounced off that general area, so that's kind of a good thing. Aside from that, 27 or almost 28 cents is going to be the next strong resistance. But no matter what, as you can kind of tell, the fib levels are very wide, so that's a lot of volatility. And looking on the actual chart, this is where things will get very interesting. So as you can kind of see, it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Stochastic, even though it's done reverse stock split and everything, it does show it as considered overbought. So even in that regard, it does need to pull down. The momentum indicator, I wouldn't really take that for face value. You can kind of see in general, though, it did go down. And so that does insinuate that just institutions and also retail were selling. So all in all, Faraday, in my opinion, is definitely one to avoid. But clearly, people like it. I don't know if, once again, they're just too far gone and too much of a loss to essentially sell, but I do realistically see Faraday doing a third reverse stock split and eventually down the line leading to bankruptcy, which is very unfortunate because when I started to cover Faraday, there was a lot of optimism associated to that. As I kind of even showed, a lot of the data as well was very optimistic. But just what's been happening is just sketchiness after sketchiness, and it just does not look good. So in my opinion, I would highly suggest avoiding it, but what do I know? I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. So even though Faraday is doing whatever the hell it does, all the time, take advantage of this promo. It's been extended up until March the 31st. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.